Hey guys, I'm Alanah.
And I'm Lucas, and I'll be helping out on Button Bash today.
Yeah, I definitely need some help reviewing Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. It may be one of the most enormous games ever made. Where to begin? Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is one of the meatiest games I've ever had to review, let alone even play. There's just so much volume in content with an open world full of freedom, interactivity, and some pretty unique toys. You're basically given a horse and thrust into the Afghan countryside with seemingly limitless options, but thankfully it's all tied together pretty neatly with some consistent gameplay systems, which stops it from just being plain overwhelming, though it's not really far off.
Yeah, but thankfully the story is pretty easy to grasp, I think even for people who haven't played previous Metal Gear games. The Phantom Pain follows seminal Metal Gear anti-hero Big Boss, called Punish Venom Snake this time because it's a Hideo Kojima game. Snake wakes up from a coma 9 years after the destruction of his army to find he is now the target of an evil paramilitary group called Zoff. With the help of his buddies Revolver Ocelot and Kazuhira Miller, Snake takes on covert mercenary operations to fund his dream of an army without a nation and to stop Zoff from realizing a sinister world order. Zoff is Fox backwards because Kojima likes binaries. Kojima! In each mission, Snake is dropped into various war-torn countries to help clean things up, usually by way of rescuing hostages, eliminating commanders, or seizing intelligence.
And that mission structure is kind of repetitive. I mean, it's always the same thing, but it stays fresh over the 50 or so hours by giving you seemingly hundreds of ways to approach everything. The way every mission ends depends on so many different choices you could make leading up to that point, rather than being a scripted, definite conclusion. Even the day-night cycle and weather patterns play a role. My favourite missions tended to be the ones where I could combine Metal Gear's standard stealth focus with some epic, aggressive moments right at the end. There's nothing quite like using the sonar in your prosthetic arm to pinpoint nearby enemies, then carefully throwing empty bullet cartridges to distract them while you doubly carefully infiltrate their base, find the hostage, then sneak right back out with that hostage on your shoulder and call your helicopter knowing you couldn't possibly make it to the nearest safe landing zone. There are just too many guards still looking out for you. Luckily, you'd already placed C4 on their anti-aircraft radar and their radio comms, so you detonate it right in time to throw the guards off your trail and run to your helicopter, gunning down anyone who might chase you as you go. I still feel like I'm somehow selling it short here. The Phantom Pain can be so intense, even if your favorite tactics can sometimes cause missions to feel even more repetitive. I mean, it is mostly infiltrations, and you don't have much incentive to really infiltrate things differently.
Yeah, I personally wasn't terribly creative with my main strategy. I would pretty much use stealth for as long as I could, and when I was inevitably discovered, they usually followed the trail of unconscious people, I'd airdrop my heavy weapons loadout and go on a rampage pretty much. But it was extremely rewarding the first time I infiltrated an outpost, Fulton extracted the hostage, then abducted an A-ranked guard, and stole their Kids in America cassette, all without being caught. I just couldn't resist Kim Wilde's dulcet tones.
See, I love that in The Phantom Pain. You wouldn't remember any one specific mission, but you probably would remember a bunch of intense experiences you had all based on your own strategy. But that's just one aspect of The Phantom Pain. Your overall mission is half about getting rid of the usually politically motivated bad guys, half about building your own private army.
And then there's the mother base. Managing your mother base is an oddly engrossing experience. Completing missions earn you GMP, which you can spend on weapons development or adding platforms to mother base, which can grow in whatever direction your playstyle favors. Adding R&D platforms, for example, lets you develop better weapons and equipment. Meanwhile, combat platforms lets you build a more powerful army, which increases your success at completing mercenary operations.
Yeah, which is a nice break from the usually really stressful missions. There's also the online-only forward operating base, which has you construct separate additional forces outside of your main mother base. You still allocate resources and soldiers to the base, but with the intention of defending it from online invaders. At the same time, you can invade other people's bases in an attempt to secure their resources, recruits, and enemy nukes.
Yeah, but it needs to be said the forward operating base system, with its associated microtransactions, just feels kinda shady, especially with the recent announcement that Konami will now sell you, for actual money, forward operating base insurance.
Yeah.
My only other complaint is the fact that aside from one or two cool encounters, there are almost no interesting boss fights in this game. This is a Metal Gear game. Where are my quirky mini-boss squad fights?
Totally, but In spite of all that, I still think it's definitely the best Metal Gear game for newcomers, but it's also one of my favorite in the entire series. It's possibly one of the only games I've ever played that has meaningful gameplay detail in every single thing you do. With that said, I think this is the first game I can pretty confidently recommend to everyone ever. Though that might be irresponsible of me because you can easily sink like 100 hours into it.
I am easily at least 60 hours into this goddamn game. Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain is currently available on Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and PC. I'm Alanah.
Here's Lucas, I'm Alanah, and thanks for watching Button Bash.